Hello. We're here. We're live. I apologize for us being late, but that's my fault. My bad. Couldn't find my mic converter, but here we are to talk about the weekend and the Little League World Series game. Here we go. Let's start it.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match of $100 or up to $100. Give me 1 second. There we go. I forgot to change the background. Look, couldn't find the converter for my mic. I was like, sitting through that game. It's been a rough night. So before we get started, hi, Brian's here. Say hi, Brian.
What's up?
Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live or, premiere. Like now we're live and sometimes we just premiere. So coming up, we're going to talk about what the standings look like after this 3-3 road trip that shouldn't have been 3-3. What we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the Little League World Series game first, since it's the freshest in our minds. And aside from the horrible outcome, it was fun with the kids and all the things that they were doing with the players and stuff. Like I love watching the kids' reactions to meeting Major League Baseball players, and I thought it was fun.
I thought it was fun. Yes. I mean, the game definitely left a real sour taste in my mouth at the end of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it gives me a little bit of faith in today's children, because all you do all the time is hear about how no one's out playing baseball anymore, and no kids kids don't like baseball. And then you see something like this where there's, kids obsessing over getting Garrett Cole's autograph and everything. So that gives me a little bit of faith. But I don't know. Maybe I've got that weird sports fan disease where I let sports control my emotions a little too much. Probably definitely is true.
It's because you're still in your 20s. I did that in my 20s too. I
couldn't leave this game feeling positive or seeing any positive note, because you lost the game that you should have won.
Yeah. Well, yes, because of how the game was played. But going into it, did you think that the Yankees were going to win a game with Tarik Skubal against Marcus Stroman?
No, I didn't. I thought Vegas told you the Yankees were going to win, and they did, based on the gambling line going into the game. also that they should have took 2 out of 3 in the series regardless.
Oh yeah.
This should have been a series that took 2 out of 3. They should have swept the White Sox. I mean, this was a terrible road trip.
Yes.
To go 3-3 on a road trip against 2 of the worst teams in the American League. And the Tigers are competitive. They are.
The Tigers they're not that bad. They're only a few games under 500. They have a lot of good young players. Obviously they're competitive.
There's a lot of positive signs for the Tigers in the future. Yeah. I'm not trying to put them down or anything like that. But still, the Yankees, if you want to consider yourselves a World Series contender, you got to take care of business against team like the Tigers. You do.
Right.
And I thought, great that, the kids got to see this game, but not a great baseball game for the kids, that's for sure. There was no scoring until the extra innings. Really wasn't an entertaining game.
Well, here's my thing. I guess it was because of how small the stadium is, because of where the mics are. Every ball sounded like it was going to go 500 feet, and they all died. Mm-hmm. They couldn't do the juice balls for the Little League World Series game. Like MLB,
the balls didn't. It must be something to do with It's definitely, I've heard this before, that it's got something to do with the crowds and the dynamics of the stadiums and the way they're built with the upper decks and stuff. But it just felt like every ball I was put in the air in the outfield just died. There were a couple of balls that guys really, really got into.
Yeah, they literally died.
I think it was Soto in the 7th inning had an at bat, and he really got into one in center field, and then the ball just died in center field. So
yeah,
very, very, very weird how that was happening consistently too. It was noticeable.
Yeah, it was really strange. I I like the stadium. I think it's cute. I like seeing the houses in the background. I like seeing people on the lifts in the background watching the game from, construction equipment. I thought that was cool.
It's a great experience. It is. And it's a great thing that Major League Baseball does. I love these. I mean, you can call them gimmicky if you want, but this is how you grow the sport. This is how you make the sport more popular. This is how you make it a better product.
Okay. Here's a lesson in hyperbole. They are not the worst team in the whole MLB. No, they're not. The playing down to the competition thing is annoying. The Clay Holmes looking good for 3 batters, but having that one batter where he doesn't look good, bad. They really worked. I have to say, I will give them credit. They didn't score in those first 3 innings, but they made Skubal pitch, which was good because it knocked him out earlier. Of course, they didn't really do anything till later in the game, but I will give them credit for that because Trevino had a really tough at bat against him. Like nothing really came out of it, but that's what you have to do to Skubal to get him out of the game. Like I think
he wasn't fully on either. I don't think. Like he talked about it later on in the interview that he had mid-inning. That he didn't have his best stuff. He wasn't really on, but that's what the best pitchers do, right? You got to make him work to get him out of games. I will say this, and we've been preaching this for months now, and I think a lot of the people that are listening to the show are reiterating it in the comments. Clay Holmes isn't a closer,
right?
And he should be closing games, and he is out there closing games, and the Yankees are clearly going to keep riding with him. That's what they want to do. But this is going to bite them in the rear end in a postseason game.
Oh yeah. He would be a perfectly cromulent reliever at some point in the game, but not in the 9th.
he leads the major leagues in blown saves by a significant margin now.
Yeah, he's up to 10 now, and he's the first Yankee with double-digit blown saves since Dave Righetti in 1987. He had 13 that year. So
yeah,
those are the kinds of Yankee records you don't want to tie. It would be better if you tied someone with 50 saves or something like that instead of 10 blown saves. Speaking of Clay Holmes, there was a clip of him with the Japanese little leaguers, and he was clearly using Google Translate on his phone to talk to them, which I think was amazing. Technology is so great. I feel like if I could go to Europe, I could use my phone to help me communicate with people.
I've heard people do it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the greatest thing. Jazz Chisholm, wait, we have to talk about this. He's amazing, okay? Whoever put that report out about his personality and, it might be a problem for the Yankees, he was the best during that entire game, sitting with that team the whole time, hanging out with the kids.
How about the kid at the airport? Apparently, there's a story that when he got off the plane, he met some kid that was talking about baseball, everything like that. He gave the kid his personal phone number and said, whenever you need anything, equipment, team things, anything, let me know and I'll get it for you. That's pretty cool.
Because that's what you should do when you're a Major League Baseball player, especially if you're single and don't have kids and a family. You should do that. When you have a family, I can understand why you're not going to be like, so easy with giving away your money. But I did like the kids. I was watching the kids cast. I think they did a really good job. I will say that the one main kid, I can't remember his name. He kept saying the MLB. He'll break out of that habit. Also, every fly ball was deep, even if they weren't. So hopefully he'll break out of that habit. I mean, there are some dudes who broadcast now for years who still call balls that are deep and they're not. So, but no, I really like the kids are just great. Pepper, the sideline reporter, she was great. And I want to shout out to Emma from Team Australia, the only girl in the Little League World Series. Fantastic. They interviewed her tonight as well. And I loved that atmosphere. They need to do it every year from now on. It's just so much fun to see how excited those kids are just to be there and experiencing it.
They already announced next year's. I believe it's Mets Mariners or Mets Marlins.
No,
Mets
Mariners.
Are going to be in it.
It's Mets Mariners.
Mets Mariners, which is a strange matchup, but that'll be fun. They're trying to get bigger markets in it. That makes a lot of sense. I want to mention this too. Someone who does a fantastic job. I don't generally love the Sunday night broadcast. I think it's just an awkward fit. It doesn't fit normal. But Sarah Lang's infectious attitude towards baseball is so damn cool and like needs to be brought up more. I know that she's on the Sunday night broadcast, but she's like the behind the scenes kind of stat geek that's with it. They need to involve her more because like you need that to grow the sport popularity wise. You just do. And her infectious attitude towards baseball is so damn cool. Like you need more of that in the sport. You really do.
Yeah, I think it's rough for her now though because of if you don't know, Sarah was diagnosed with ALS 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting harder and harder for her to speak, which is rough to do because it involves like ALS really involves everything. It's just she really
but
is.
There's got to be ways to involve her in the broadcast to a greater degree than a tweet here and there that they read.
Yeah,
because she does have this infectious attitude towards baseball, and she's brilliant when it comes to the stuff that she brings up.
Yep.
I believe Scooble having 3 walks today. He had the longest streak in Tigers history since 1902 of a guy that's gone 2 walks or less in starts, which is unbelievable. And she came to everyone with that stat, and I don't like it the way that they involve her as a tweet that she gave out of loving baseball. Like they could get her more involved in that.
Right.
That's the only point I was making.
So the Yankees dropped the game. They dropped the series, which is really annoying. We'll talk about the rest of the series. You know, as usual, they started it off well on Friday night, and then Saturday was just, but we'll talk about that in segment 2. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. Also, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday if you want your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday. We do it every week, and this week Brian's going to be by himself. So make the questions, make them more unusual.
Spicy.
Yeah. Or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. You get what do you get? What's the phrase I'm looking for? My brain is not working. Oh, top priority.
Top priority.
Yep, top priority. There you go. But if you're in the Insiders Club, you get text from us. I texted out the lineup. I texted out the news about Jason Dominguez. The link is in the description. There's a 14-day free trial. So coming up next, we'll talk about the rest of the series.
What's up, Locked On Yankees listeners? Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Preseason football is underway, and you can also pick more or less on 2024 season stats on Prize Picks. Will Patrick Mahomes throw for more or less than 4,300 yards? Will CJ Stroud's sophomore season result in more or less than 4,150 yards? Enter your season picks before week 1 kicks off. NFL season's coming in. The best part about betting in the NFL early on is the futures, right? And you can get involved in Prize Picks, all these different futures, yardage, running, for receiving. They've got it all on Prize Picks. So here's what you got to do. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And welcome back, and thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast, where host Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs. Here in the dog days of the summer, prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Welcome back, everybody. Segment 2. We're gonna go over the rest of the series. I do want to mention this quickly, Stacey. One guy who I don't want to harp on it too much because it is one game, but one guy who had a very poor game was Jason Dominguez. I don't think it should put all of the I don't think it should give too much credibility to all the rumors out there that is he ready? Is he not ready? The Yankees trust him. It's one bad game. Anyone can have one bad game. He did have a very bad game though. At the plate, he looked very lost. He struck out multiple times. And also the last play in left field. Now, I don't know if they had a legitimate shot at getting him to begin with, but Dominguez does have a very good arm. And the double clutch there, you got to know in that situation that ball's got to get in as quick as possible.
Yeah.
He had a very, very poor game out there.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Speaking of Dominguez, normally we would do Minors Monday here. We're going to skip it just because of us doing this live, and we were reacting to the game, and now we're going to react to the series. So I just want to give you guys a heads up because, I know I said on Friday, it's going to be Minors Monday. So we're going to push it back to next Monday. So yeah, that was a bit of a bummer, but he's up for the 27th man. He's going to go back down. He'll probably be up for September 1st. And it was an experience. Did he look different to you?
I find it very weird too. I don't think he looked very different necessarily. I find it very weird they called him up and they inserted him into the lineup and he's batting 6th. Like if he's not good enough to play on the major league roster,
he was 5th.
Well, I understand. Yeah, he was 5th.
Yeah,
that to me is so strange though. Oh, you're not good enough to play with the major league squad 24/7. He has to stay in AAA to get more reps. But then you insert him into the lineup and he's immediately at the number 5.
They're not calling him up because of the whole rookie, like not ruining the rookie status thing. That's why they're waiting till September 1st. And that's why they called him up as the 27th man. So this doesn't really affect anything and he can go right back down because that's why they're waiting till it's the whole service time manipulation and all that other. It's not great. No, I don't like it either, but that's what's happening here. So yeah.
When it comes to the rest of the series, Stacey, it does need to be mentioned. People are going to forget it because they did wind up losing the series. But in Game 1, Garrett Cole was vintage Garrett Cole.
Yep.
He was tremendous. And again, the Tigers are not they're competitive, they're spunky, but they're not a great team. And again, Garrett Cole was electric. I mean, he went 6 innings, looked terrific. Yankees still struggled to score though, and necessarily get the bats going though. The whole series was really a problem for them.
Yeah.
Really the whole road trip. Because they didn't knock the cover off the ball in the White Sox series either, to be honest with you.
Until that last game. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there concern for you with that, with the offense kind of like cooling off again? Or you think it's just strictly playing down to the competition?
I guess we'll find out. We'll find out when they play the Guardians on Tuesday, if they're playing down to the competition and if they're going to raise it back up for the Guardians. But yeah, it concerns me a little bit. What doesn't concern me is, some of the guys are hitting the ball, just making outs. You know what I mean? Like they're not, they're not all swinging the ball feebly or swinging at the ball feebly, and looking awful at the plate. It's just a lot of it seemed to be bad luck. Yeah, because I mean, how many times did they have runners in scoring position and didn't do anything?
I think you've definitely seen more signs of aggressiveness from them of late. Really, since they've turned it around. Yeah. I think Glaber running on the wild pitch today was a sign of that. You saw over the weekend, Soto had like a bunt single to the left. Like those are things that you don't see a lot of guys doing out there. I think Wells had one too in the Chicago series. You don't see a lot of that in Major League Baseball. And I think the teams that are willing to do that kind of stuff are teams that have a little bit of a leg up in baseball nowadays. Because most teams, it's all or nothing. It's big swings and everything like that. If you see a team that could be aggressive like that and kind of manufacture your own runs, I love that kind of play.
Right. Yeah, Cole looked good on Friday. I was happy with that result. And it felt good going into Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I was super confident going into Saturday.
Yeah, me too. And then Carlos, not at the table, Carlos. Come on.
It's hard to trust him. It's getting to that point where it's very hard to trust him. And I've loved him before he got to the Yankees. Awesome looking pitcher. Gets here. He has these starts, Stacey, where you feel so confident about his game because he just looks so good and he's so on and everything like that. And then he follows them up with just absolute duds. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to know what guy you're going to get in every start. It really is.
Yeah. The other thing that bothered me was this was the starter from the Tigers who came in with an ERA close to 6, and the Yankees couldn't hit him.
No.
I just want to address this comment. I did mention this last week, that the dog days are technically over. There's only 20 dog days. It has to do with the dog star. I did mention that. I just want to point that out. I also found that out. Yes. It's just disappointing, because he was on a good roll, and then he has a start like that. And, you're feeling good because Cole's looking better. Well, Cole really only looked better in the 2 starts against the Mets, really,
You're right.
And, you just wanted to get on a roll. And I don't think we brought up Stroman enough in segment 1. Stroman was great. I mean, he really did a great job.
Where credit's due. He's been good, really, since they gave him the extra day.
Yeah, like he really worked on some stuff, and he's making it so the Yankees might not have that hard of a choice for third starter, if he keeps going this way. But Rodon, he's too up and down for me. For number 2, you can't have stretches where you have 3 or 4 good starts and then 3 or 4 bad starts and then 3 or 4 good starts and then 6 bad starts. And you can't do that as a number 2. Yeah. He's like, it's the tale of 2 pitchers for him. It's unbelievable. We have 69 people in the chat.
Nah, down to 67 now.
Damn it, guys. Come on. Bump that
up. Get those
up.
Numbers up. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, that was just disappointing. And then you thought, well, again, like I said in segment 1, I thought, oh boy, okay, so it's Google. It's going to be rough. And it was. I mean, it wasn't easy against Skubal. They had to claw for that. Glaber had to run home on a wild pitch to get that first run.
No, they couldn't hit him either. And he admitted after the game, too, that his stuff was not on and he was not feeling it. And they couldn't touch him.
But I know he said that, but his pitch is still his changeup
is insane. It's one of the best looking changeups I think I've ever seen. And I don't know how anyone hits it, especially the way it comes out, the way his motion is, where it looks like he's falling away as a lefty. I don't know how anyone hits that. I don't. Yeah. His changeup is ridiculous.
Yeah, his changeup is it's just wow. Like I'm a pitching person. I love pitching. I love looking up pitching on Baseball Savant and seeing how guys throw. And I was just like, why can't he be a Yankee? I'd love for him to be a Yankee. That'd be so great, because he's just.
It would have took a lot for them to trade for him.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So disappointing series, disappointing road trip. So we'll see coming up. They have the day off Monday. And they start their series against the Guardians on Tuesday. We will see if they play up to the competition against Cleveland.
Or stay bad.
Or stay not hitting. Coming up next, the Yankees and Baltimore don't want to take the division. They cannot take the division away from each other. They're just like, oh, I'm going to lose some games. Me too. I'm going to lose some games too. So we're going to look at the standings and talk about some of that stuff coming up next.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm here again to talk to you, but this time about FanDuel. And you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. We have something a little different for you this time. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube or YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. I mean, think of how exciting that is. I don't know if you guys have had Sunday Ticket before, but every NFL game at your access, think of the amount of bets you can put in, the amount of over-unders you can get involved in, the amount of QB props you can get in. I mean, you have one good Sunday, it can ride you for the rest of the year. Guys, we are a few weeks away from every Sunday being perfect again. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and download that. Forget to get access to America's #1 sportsbook. And guys, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that are covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Welcome back, guys. Stacey, this division is going to come down to the final seconds, it feels like. The Orioles don't want to beat any. We keep complaining about how the Yankees won't refuse to beat the Tigers, and they lose a game to the White Sox, and it aggravates you. The Orioles don't want to beat anyone either.
Right.
I mean, they played the Nationals horribly over the weekend. They're not playing well either. Orioles now 73-52, Yankees 73-52, matching identical records now. They're almost identical teams. The Orioles are slightly better at home. Yankees are slightly better on the road. The Yankees' run differential is better than the Orioles. The last 10, they're both 5-5. There's like almost no difference in these two teams. The Yankees still have the easier schedule remaining. I think
not that means anything because
exactly. But bad teams give you games away. It is really crazy to me to look at how these teams are playing because it's just no one wants to take advantage. I mean, the Orioles had 3 months to take advantage, and they haven't done so. So right. I don't know if they're going to start doing it anytime soon, but neither team seems to want to take advantage and take this division.
Yeah, it's basically like, no, you have it. No,
yeah,
you can take it. No, I insist. It's just it's unbelievable. I will say, apparently at the Baltimore game today, when Rushman hit his home run, there was an incident with Zach Hampel. Someone pushed him out of the way to get the ball and then handed the ball to a kid purposely to get the home run ball away from him. I always joke that people should just body check him whenever they see him, like anytime he's in the outfield to try and get a ball. But no, seeing the Orioles, I was keeping track of them over the weekend. Not that I normally do, but just because they were playing the Red Sox and that's like a meteor game. And at this point, the Orioles and the Yankees are being such dummies right now because they can't overtake each other that the Red Sox are probably going to come out of nowhere.
I don't know. They're still stuck behind Kansas City, who's playing really well. I mean, the AL and NL wildcard pictures have kind of they've made a name for themselves, I guess, if you want to call it. Like these teams have really started to establish themselves. Just like how the Mets seem to not be able to catch Atlanta. I don't know if Boston catches Kansas City. Currently Kansas City is 3.5 games above Boston. They're playing well.
No, I don't mean Kansas City. I mean the Yankees and the Orioles are going to screw around so much that Boston is going to insert themselves in September.
That would be hard.
We're here.
Boston's 8 games back.
Look, with the way these two teams have been playing lately.
Yeah, but Boston would have to play at an insane pace to cover 8 games out of 40. They'd have to play at an insane pace, and the Yankees and Orioles have to play terrible. I don't know if they catch Kansas City. With Kansas City's pitching and how good Bobby Witt's been all year, that's going to be a really tough task. They're 3.5 back of Kansas City. They're 4.5 back of Minnesota. The Yankees or the Red Sox, or not the Red Sox, the Orioles, whoever loses the division is going to be the first wild card. I can't imagine them not being. They're 3.5 above the second place team. But you got a really tight race. 2 games back of Boston is Seattle, and then I think kind of dips off, and they got Tampa after that. Really just, I wonder if Boston gets it. I think they deserve it. I think they've played really well this year. I think their starting pitching has been so much better than anyone could have possibly expected, but it just feels like Kansas City has a little too much firepower. Yeah.
I really don't want to see. I don't want to see Boston in the playoffs.
I don't think you want to see any team with good starting pitching.
No,
I mean, that's a premise for the postseason. Always, you don't want to run. You don't want to run into teams with good starting pitching, and Boston has that. So does Kansas City.
Yeah.
So does Kansas City. I think Kansas City's a sleeper team. Like, it's not going to be whoever you wind up playing in the first round. It's not going to be an easy task. It really isn't.
You brought up the Mariners, and I enjoy watching the hosts of Locked On Mariners on Twitter when the Mariners are not doing well, because they completely lose it. They're just so annoyed with the team right now that
they should be a better team.
The Astros are back into everything.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy following our fellow Locked On hosts just to see like their reactions to certain things. And yeah, that was they are not happy. And the AL West was really like up for grabs at one point, and
Houston's running away with it. They are. I mean, now they're 4 games up in the division. They're running away with it. And it's funny too, because Seattle made all those moves at the deadline to get their offense up. Their offense hasn't been really good, and their starting pitching has been terrific all year. It's been so good. I don't know why they're not hitting. I mean, Randy Arozarena has not made much of a difference since going there. Really just is strange, because Houston started the year off so bad and was so far behind all these teams, and it's like they're just doing their regular thing again. You know,
they're like roaches. They won't go away.
They won't.
I'm just kidding. I don't want people to get mad at me. They're not like roaches. I mean, they sort of are, but they aren't. Did I mean to put that there, or did you put that there?
Do they have something to play for? If you want to bring the Mets up, I gladly. Do they have something to play for? Because the Mets can't even catch Atlanta. And I mean, every time the Mets do something positive, they blow 2 out of 3 to the A's at home. Every time they do something positive, they lose 2 out of 3. They get swept by the Mariners. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. I mean, like the Mets have not been able to take advantage of playing bad teams. They've had an easy schedule and they won't take advantage of it. They get the White Sox in a few weeks. What are they going to do against the White Sox? I don't think they're going to catch Atlanta. I don't see how. I don't think the Mets starting pitching is good enough. So I don't think they're going to catch Atlanta. So, I mean, if you're interested in talking about the Mets, there you go. I think, do they have something to play for? Sure. Are they getting in? I don't think there's a shot. And I mean, and to be quite frank with you, they don't deserve to get in. You lose to bad teams like that, you don't deserve to get in.
Yeah, I think they might play like they have something to play for, right? Like they're trying. It's just things aren't working out the way they want.
They're incredibly inconsistent.
Yeah. I mean, the Braves also, like, you know, I do follow a lot of people on Twitter, but I follow fans of other teams, and just to see every other team's fans reacting the same way we do.
Ronald Acuna being out for the whole year, though. Could you imagine how he'd react if Judge was out the whole year? Like, it's a different vibe when you have a star player that's out the entire year.
Right.
The NL, though, I mean, you have a team like San Diego that has heated up in the last month or so. Arizona, who has caught fire in the last month or so.
Although they're 5-8 against, they were 5-8 against the Yankees, the Rockies this year, the Padres, which doesn't help. Like that's what
you got to win those games. That's why it was frustrating when, you know, we came on after they lost the White Sox game. Yes, is it? We did preach, and it's true. Is it one game out of 162, and is it that big of a deal? No. However, that when you lose the division by one game, and it could very well come down to that. You know, when you lose 2 out of 3 to the Tigers. And again, we said it, the Tigers are competitive. But when you lose 2 out of 3 to the Tigers and your season winds up coming down to a game or two, these are the game or two that you need to win. And it very well could come down to a game or two at this point with Baltimore. So that's the kind of stuff that really bugs me.
Yeah. I would agree with this so far, because we were hoping that the month, it says smooth criminal. That's funny. Disappointing month. Yeah. It is.
I would say so. But I think if you look back on it, you do have to be a little grateful they did dig themselves out of the hole they were in. Remember how you felt coming out of the All-Star break? Like go back to how that felt. They have righted the ship. They are playing competitive again. I just don't see a lot of that fire sometimes every night.
Yeah, that's what I don't like. I want to see that fire. I don't want them to have this attitude of, well, if we just make the playoffs, because I've said this so many times, I don't like that attitude. It's you should be like, we should win the division, and we're going to win the division. That's what you need. That's the attitude that you need to have.
It seems like they have the we're going to make the playoffs anyway attitude, and the attitude of we're 20 games up, so this loss isn't going to matter that much.
Right. And I don't like that. You know, I didn't like the whole, we went out, we got off to a good start, so we had a big cushion, so it was okay that we were horrible for a month and a half. It's like, no.
Completely agree.
Would the 1998 Yankees be acting like that? No. They just steamrolled all over everybody when they got off to that big lead. They just kept going. Yeah. It's just disappointing. It was a disappointing road trip. They have the day off. They have the Guardians coming to town, then they have the Rockies, and then they go see the Nats. So we'll see what happens in those 3 series. 2 out of the 3 should be easy, but who knows with this team at this point.
Completely agree.
Do we sound like spoiled brats? Yes, because it's annoying that a team that is on the cusp of 75 wins can't beat teams that are under 500.
That's the problem you're facing.
It's just annoying. So, yeah. But thank you for joining us live here tonight. Obviously the Little League World Series game would have been a lot better if the Yankees could have won 1-0, and it would have been a much better experience for all of us instead of sitting through that 10th inning and the bottom of the 9th, actually. So what are you going to do? Let's see. Are there any more comments? This is kind of funny because it's a little true. 10 blown saves, not even September. Cashman is infatuated with Holmes, just like he was with Gary Sanchez. Poor Gary. Poor Gary. I really wanted big things for Gary Sanchez, and I really thought we were going to see big things for Gary Sanchez. That swing, one of my favorite hits of all time. Out of the over 40 years that I've been watching baseball, that hit against Houston, what was it, game 4, that comeback game, I was there. I could see it in my head. It's one of my favorite hits of all time. It was so great, and things didn't work out. So one more time, on that depressing note, one more time, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And one more note about Sully. He also does Locked On A's, and he did a show about Jose Canseco being at the ceremony at the Coliseum. So I think maybe people should listen to that because I think it's interesting. Anyway, that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us, guys.